Our next speakers are Sandra Neal and Michel Lauzon, both for Lemay architects. They'll entertain us on the hotel complex at Mount Stephen Club. I'll let you introduce yourself.
Great. So Michel is the principal partner at Lemay. He's a chief creative officer. He's an architect since 1992. And he holds a master's degree in project management, and combined with his experience abroad, Michel's experience in placemaking, design thinking, and branding makes him a reference in applied creativity in all project types. As a chief creative officer, he oversees the design output of the firm and heads the urban design studio, as well as the creative R&D cell called Lemay Lab.
Thank you, Sandra. Sandra Neal as a reference in interior design in Montreal, and Sandra has more than 25 years experience in interior design, and is a what we call a workplace strategist on different types of projects, either be hotels or different cultural projects or private projects. So she works in new trends about making places accessible, enhancing quality of life, and improving overall qualities within the spaces. So the issue of today, we'll close this one. We'll concentrate on this one because we got double vision here. So the issue of today is we'll present to you how we tried. I think we succeeded in great part at how to make this building accessible, how to make heritage accessible, and how to transform it in order to be able to accommodate a modern hotel with all the amenities, and integrating heritage within it and making everything accessible. So our subject was the Mount Stephen Hotel building, which is a national heritage site. So it's the building and also its site. It's located in downtown Montreal. It used to be of course, a high-end residence in the Golden Mile. The Golden Mile is a sector in downtown Montreal today, which used to be the area in Canada where the most all the fortunes were concentrated in that square mile in downtown Montreal. So today we do have several heritage buildings from that era, and in this case it's the Mount Stephen, which also transferred from a private residence, into a private club for a long time. So the issue of accessibility also of this space, of making it accessible through a hotel, is also an interesting aspect. So if we go further, we'll see the general approach that we took to make it accessible. Sandra will present our interiors. There we go. So I'll go quickly on how we integrated the building, but the issue of accessibility is we're also very preoccupied on how to integrate heritage and how to integrate it in an urban context. So we looked at how we could bring it back to the original building, remove some outbuildings, and then to do a hotel. So we're doing a 90-room hotel on a very constrained site. So the idea is how to integrate it without destroying the idea of this mansion in front. So our basic idea was to look at doing a high-rise hotel, but that would serve as a backdrop, as a dramatic backdrop for the Mount Stephen in front. So we built the building in back with a setback to create that backdrop, and you'll see in the pictures how it translates. And also, when we did the building, is that we wanted to be anchored in the spirit of the place. So this backdrop that we created in behind the Mount Stephen, we wanted to give it a Victorian, a bit of a motif or character, and you'll see in the window treatment, the idea was to make this kind of tapestry in back that would serve as this backdrop. And it's based on a Victorian motif that's prevalent within the Mount Stephen, which is from the Victorian period. So basically, our process is based also in a very participative and inclusive process where we bring people together to brainstorm on solutions, be it vision sessions, branding sessions, creative sessions. So in order also to make spaces accessible, I think we, of course, as architects and designers are aware since 20 years since I began maybe a bit more than 20 years ago, accessibility was seen more maybe at that time as a constraint or a criteria to integrate. Today it's seen as something basic like gravity or keeping the rain out or so, but I think to go to the next level of sensitivity towards accessibility, we need to bring more people within the process because we might miss some things if we only rely on our knowledge of norms and regulations. So we need a more open process. If we look at how it translates, you see, you just do a brainstorm session and then poof, you get a building. It's a bit more complex than that, a lot more sweat and work, but we get to the result, and our result translates the intent. The intent was to have a building, and the thing with the building is that, of course, it's a Victorian age building, which means it's not accessible. Even the ground floor is not accessible. So the challenge in this case is that we have to enter in a dialogue with the heritage authorities, and then we have to dialogue with accessibility as we would dialogue with other constraints. So then we have to find an acceptable compromise between having the main access, in this case it's the central location where we want to have the main access, but also making it accessible and also integrating it harmoniously within the heritage. So that's our main issue in this case. And we'll see how we resolve it. We also, another picture where we see that the building is very tight on its site, and this is a demising wall in back, so instead of having a dumb blind wall, we're looking at having a kind of iconic, more signature blind wall, if you want. The way we also wanted to innovate in this project is there are many hotel or high-end hotel, boutique hotels in Montreal, and we wanted this building to be different and this hotel to be different. So the way we addressed the program is we tried to make one great main level where all the main amenities and functions would be. So this is a great asset. Once you get to that main level, and we'll see how we do it from the outside, then all the function and amenities, which are not rooms, will be mainly accessible from that floor, which makes a lot of sense towards accessibility. So if we go into the room typology, is that our idea was to have a room that would, each typology caters to a specific clientele, although they are flexible to be able to accommodate either accessible clients or different types of clients. But we looked at branding and positioning these rooms according to different lifestyles, we would say, or different types of clientele. So there's a more business, and we have also more, we call them personalities for the rooms. So we have more business-oriented, or we have more playful or wedding, so different clienteles which are catered within this 90-room hotel. So I'll pass the microphone to Sandra, so she could explain how we managed to render the rooms accessible.
Hi. So the rooms, as Michel explained, were different personalities. So we had a very restricted site with a view only to one direction. So we cut up the floor plate into almost equal divisions. And from that, the personality types of the rooms, we were able to attribute accessibility possibilities for 43% of the rooms. So 39 out of the 89 rooms have a possibility of catering to accessible clientele, even including the penthouse. So the penthouse is a full floor straight across, and even though it has very angular windows at the top, which Michel didn't explain, but we weren't allowed to view the building, the new building, from the street. It had to have a very low presence, and it had to be almost hidden from the street view. So that's why we have angles, and we have some two-story hotel rooms, guest rooms at the top. So now I'm confused. Okay. So here you see the layout in a very horizontal cut up, and so almost each room is about the same square footage. There's some small tweaks, etc. But the transient room and the international room, as well as the jet set, edgy room, are catering to personality types. So, you know, we're trying to give different atmospheres so that you're not always going back to the same hotel room always, so you get an opportunity to have a different type of room. And here shows the penthouse with the possibility of having more like an entourage. We called it the Legend after, like, we were tossing around names like the Beyonce Suite or the Madonna Suite, but it's really the Legend. So the boutique hotel with the contemporary, we wanted to create a very contemporary feel to the space with relation to the very old juxtaposition of the mansion. Sorry. There you go. So here you see it's set back. It's not supposed to be visible, but yet it's this pop of this very textural facade that came from the wallpaper initiative, the Victorian wallpaper. So you see the pink, it's where there's a ramp access. And so this is the bar area, so it's catering to coffee shop and bar. And you also have a ramp access and a small lift. The other accessibility is through, so there you have the facade on the left-hand side. You see the ramp access, and then you see the vehicular. So if you're coming by car, you go into the garage, and the diagram on the right shows you the pink line down towards the garage and up to the elevator lift. So either by pedestrian or vehicular. It was very important. Our CEO, his mother was in a wheelchair, and he always said, you know, it was great for him. He always was at the front of the line. So it was a natural instinct for us to make sure that we adapt to this possibility. So here it shows in plan the ramp access, a little longer route, and the vehicular access. And it shows you the connections from the mansion to the new hotel. So the new hotel is on the far right, and there is a link towards the building in the back. And as Michel mentioned, everything on the ground floor is amenities. So you have the cafe, the bar, the ballroom, and some rooms for restaurants. So that was very important, and they put all the kitchen facilities in the basement and storage facilities in the basement. The other thing that we did, well, this shows you the connection going from the old hotel to the new hotel, the new lobby. So everything's on the same level. And then the ballrooms as well. It was, they wanted it to be a destination for weddings, etc. And so weddings is all about families, and families of all generations. So it was really important to cater to that population. This is the second floor, and we didn't have to, like in the old mansion, you cannot access the second floor because there's a staircase, and it's a heritage staircase. So what we did was we put a link with a glass, how do you call it? Passerelle, that connects the new building to the old building. And this, so somebody can go on the elevator, get off on the second floor, there's spa facilities, etc., or they can connect to the second floor and not miss out on what else is happening in the old mansion. And it also offers a service corridor. So here it shows a room, and we were actually quite lucky to be able to get, we had to do a stacking and get a certain quantity of rooms, but we were actually quite lucky to have a width of a room that we could accommodate a wheelchair accessibility. It's good? Okay. And somebody mentioned coffee at a lower level. We made sure that the laptop computer area, desk surface area was not cumbersome, and that the coffee was at the same level. And then the washrooms was another area sensitivity. We have a sliding door to go into the washroom, so it could be open all the time. And then no door on the showers. And one of the things that came out in our vision sessions with the client was, we want big bathrooms. So actually, the big bathroom actually helps the case of accessibility, because you have either the shower area or the tub, and it's all in the same area. So there on the lower bottom, you see the other possibilities. And these are actually pictures from another hotel, which is the W Hotel. And there we have no sill or flush sills, no doors, the seats, all the catering for accessibility. So we learned from what we did at the W and then transformed it into the hotel, Mount Stevens. So Michel's going to pass the puck back.
Conclude. We want to thank the Summit for inviting us to present the project, by the way. I think that future trends, what we're looking at is that, first, as I mentioned before, is that accessibility in the design industry used to be seen as something that was a constraint or something that needed to be integrated and maybe was, a constraint to design freedom and stuff like that. But I think in 20 years it has evolved a lot. I think we still need to evolve, because being seen as maybe a design criteria is one thing, but I think it needs to be, to get to a further level, to need the level of sensitivity that we need to avoid simple mistakes, as we saw before in the other presentation, baskets and items in the environment that don't that could be obstacles, but also to people who have sight challenges or people of different disabilities. So I think there's another layer that we still need to learn and to integrate that level of sensitivity. And I think in other trends which are interesting in the future and that we're looking at in interior design and architecture is that we're looking at how to move into prevention. And that, and you were saying, how can architecture buildings prevent, is that I think one of the big trends is looking at promoting a healthy lifestyle. So we want buildings, if you look at an office building, we want buildings that would encourage healthy habits of active transportation for people without disabilities, so they could stay healthy, and so putting stairs that are readily available, and doing other items that would work to induce positive habits in people that live in buildings to prevent disease and disability later in life. So I think that's a very proactive stance and very interesting stance, because we're moving from making the environment, of course, barrier-free, etc., but in preventing long-term disease, heart disease, or people with strokes, or people who get diseases from bad living habits, or people who use too much the elevator and should be using the stairs. So I think active lifestyle is going to be a prevalent trend in the next 10 years in the design industry. And we have, of course, sustainability, of course, is a really interesting trend, and of course, it's really integrated in every project. Every project that we do in the firm is always is at least a LEED silver. So we're looking at having projects which are LEED, silver, gold, and other certifications. So we're integrating this in every project that the office does by different strategies.
And in this particular case, we have gardens. So there's on the second floor, the connectivity between the two buildings will be gardens, so that you exit from the spa, or the ground floor units will have terrace availability. So we've used all the roof parts as green. So I think the way in the past 5 years we looked at sustainability as being a natural and a very cognizant view into our work. I think the next level of what we're going to do is look at accessibility. So it's really accessible for all. There's no barriers there. I think that's where our viewpoint is.
Of course, the building is in construction, so if you want a preview, you can go on Drummond Street. But in the meantime, you could look at these pictures that you see the progress of the site work. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much.
Thank you.